A mutual friend, Claire, was the one who introduced us. She insisted we'd click, but I didn't put much stock in it. I'd been through enough mismatched setups to know how low the odds were. And when I finally met Nathan, I didn't feel that jolt, that cinematic spark people always talk about. No expensive watch gleaming on his wrist. No polished arrogance or charming theatrics. He didn't flirt with everyone in the room or take up more space than he needed. He just smiled, a soft, almost hesitant curve of his lips, and held the door open with a kind of quiet steadiness that doesn't demand attention. He remembered things from our first short conversation. Asked about my favorite book. Mentioned the obscure tea shop I'd said I wanted to visit. At the time I thought it was just a good memory, maybe a bit over-attentive. Still, there was something calming about him, like walking into a warm room after a rainy day. The night before our first date, Nathan sent me a text. Asterisk, looking forward to tomorrow. Let me know if anything changes. Asterisk, no pressure. Just a gentle reminder. Scoff. Felt too polite, too restrained. I was used to fireworks and flirty banter, to unpredictability wrapped in charm. I tossed my phone on the bed and rolled my eyes. But I still went. We met at a cozy little Italian restaurant. Dim lighting, candles flickering gently, the kind of place that made you lower your voice without realizing it. He'd made a reservation. Thought ahead. I showed up in heels that pinched, already bracing myself for a forgettable evening. But from the moment we sat down, Nathan disarmed me. He didn't dominate the conversation. Instead, he asked thoughtful questions and listened with real interest, the kind you can't fake. When I shivered slightly, he caught it. Didn't make a scene, just quietly asked the waiter if they could adjust the fan. That subtle act landed heavier than grand gestures ever had. Felt easy. Familiar even. Like settling into something I didn't know I needed. There were no games, no subtext, no posturing. Just peace. But I wasn't sure. Nathan was thoughtful, grounded, and kind. All the things I said I wanted. But I'd spent so long chasing men who left me breathless and anxious that I didn't know how to be still with someone like him. There was no chaos, no emotional roller coaster. Just presence. Stability. Scared me more than I could admit. Still, we kept seeing each other. Second date. Then a third. He remembered how I liked my coffee. Extra cream, no sugar. He'd send me songs he thought I'd like, usually at just the right moment. He didn't try to win me over. He just showed up consistently and made space for me in his world. And I kept hesitating. One evening, he invited me to a rooftop restaurant. The view was breathtaking. A spread of city lights shimmering below, soft jazz in the background, the kind of setting that made you want to believe in possibility. He arrived in a simple button-down and jeans. No pretense, no facade. Just Nathan. When he saw me, his face lit up. Not in awe, but in appreciation. Like I was exactly who he'd hoped would walk through the door. He pulled out my chair, complimented me quietly, and I should have just let the moment be. But something in me resisted. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was self-sabotage. I looked at him, calm, kind, open, and I said something I'll regret for a long time. "You're not really my usual type," I blurted, laughing nervously. "But you're amazing." His expression didn't change right away. It shifted slowly, like a light dimming. The warmth in his eyes faded, not out of anger, but out of realization. He nodded slightly, offered a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I get it," he said quietly. He flagged down the waiter, paid for the meal without touching his drink, and sat silently for a beat before standing. I tried to backpedal to soften it. "I didn't mean it like that," I said. "You're just different." He looked at me with a quiet kind of pain. Not wounded, just resolved. "Maybe that's the point," he replied. Then he left. No fight. No bitterness. Just a man who knew when he wasn't truly wanted. I sat there stunned. Humiliated. I told myself he'd overreacted, that I'd just been honest. But deep down I knew. I hadn't just been honest. I'd been careless with someone who'd only ever treated me with respect. When I got home, I realized he'd removed me from everything. No more messages. No trace on social media. It was like he'd closed the book and shelved it for good. Maybe I hadn't meant that much. Or maybe I'd meant too much. I thought I'd bounce back quickly, that I'd find someone with that spark I kept chasing. But I didn't. Instead, I kept thinking about him. About the way he paid attention, the way he showed up without needing to be asked, the way he made space for me without making it a performance. And slowly, painfully, I understood. I didn't push him away because he wasn't exciting enough. I pushed him away because I didn't believe I deserved someone who saw me, really saw me, and stayed anyway. I confused chaos for passion. I thought love had to be hard to be real. I'd gotten so used to proving my worth to people who never truly valued me, that when someone did, I flinched. Nathan didn't fit my idea of what love should feel like, because my idea had been broken all along. A few weeks later, I saw him from across the street. He was walking with someone new. She laughed at something he said, and he smiled in that same soft, warm way I once dismissed. They looked at ease with each other. Oh. I froze, pretending to check my phone, my heart pounding. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did and chose to keep walking. That moment hit harder than I expected, because I knew she was getting the version of him I couldn't accept, the care I'd rejected out of fear. I thought about reaching out, about apologizing. But what could I say that wouldn't sound like regret wrapped in excuses? I'd told him he wasn't what I wanted, and he believed me. That's the part that lingers. Not just that he left, but that he believed I meant it. That he walked away not with anger, but with clarity. He knew his value. And I'd shown him I didn't. I didn't just lose a good man that night. I proved to him he deserved better than what I was ready to give. And now he's gone.